Oh, hello, people of the internet. Let's talk about some crochet patterns today and market prep. Yeah. Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Carla. I'm one half of DottyDolt. I'm the half that does the crochet stuff and also earrings too, because why not? Anyways, so today, right now, we're going to talk about this little pattern. This guy was the one that won our Instagram polls. So it was the one that I got done today or this week, because this week was busy. Woo. But anyway, so we'll talk about the pattern first, and then we'll talk about some market prep and some other things afterwards. So this little guy is from Woolie. I might get the name wrong. Yeah, I'll link it up above and down below if you want to check it out. Her patterns are super awesome. She's on, I think she's on like all of the platforms, but I got her pattern from Ribbler. And I actually, like, at first, I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like their interface. But I've kind of gotten used to it now, and I've kind of come around to it, like, it's not so bad. It's kind of nice that you can click on the row to, like, get it off. And then, like, there's pictures that match up with each thing, which is kind of nice. So, yeah. All right. So first, we'll talk about the things that I liked about this pattern. One, it's so stinking cute. It's ridiculous. So in the pattern, it's a 3 guys. So there's a vampire duck, there is a scarecrow, and there's a Frankenstein's monster, which I definitely want to make the Frankenstein's monster, and I probably will maybe tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I get time for. Oh, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so the pattern worked up really quickly. There is some sewing, but it is a low sew so it's the beak is a separate piece, the bow tie is a separate piece, and the wings, and there's a little tail bit, which was one of the things that I messed up, which we'll talk about afterwards. But anyways, so those are the 3 things that you kind of sew on, which is nice. And yeah, I definitely want to make this guy again, because it was kind of like the first go around was kind of like a let's see what happens. So this little devil duck might be Small Human's devil duck. We'll see. But I really love him. He is adorable. I will show you close up as he disappears into my white background. There we go. So this was an add-on. This is not in the pattern. This was totally me. His teeth I added on, which kind of looks a little buck tooth, but I just felt like a devil duck, or not a devil. I just felt like a vampire duck needed to have teeth. It was important. But anyways, so there we go. We'll put him back in his little nest. There we go. So as you can see, there was a few things that I messed up with this pattern, which is why I do want to do it again, because it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it did work up pretty quickly. Not like, oh, it took me like an hour to do. It took me a little bit longer than an hour, simply because one, I messed up a stitch count and had to go back and redo some things. And then 2, I added in some extra things, and 3, I messed up the tail because I didn't understand the instruction, which after I got everything together and sewn in and tied off, I realized what I had done and what they were talking about in the pattern. So there was a little bit of confusion, and I wish there would have been like a picture that kind of showed it, because the picture did kind of show it, but I had I was confused with the way that it was written, which looking back at it now, when I re-look at it and like finished the piece, I was like, oh, that's what they meant, which I'm sure all of you out there, if any sort of craft that you've done, you've done that too, or maybe it is just me, I don't know, it's entirely possible. But you know, you go through something and then you just do it because you're like, well, I don't quite understand what this means, and I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And then you look at the instruction after when you're finished and you're like, oh, that's what they meant by that. Ah. So there was an instruction to like add in the tail, but I don't believe it said to add the tail. It was just like, or like attach the tail. I don't know. I feel like it was written strange, or maybe it was just like, I don't know. I just read it wrong. I read it a number of times and redid it a couple of times, and it just didn't stick in until the end when I was finished, and I was like, what do I do with this piece? So I think I was supposed to like stitch around the tail, which really makes no sense. You're supposed to like, so you make this little tail and then you're supposed to stitch in the tail when it comes to that part, but it was just the way that it was written. It was something like, you know, like six stitches around, and I was like, I didn't quite understand that that's where you needed to attach this tail, because also the picture was a picture of it done, not a picture of like, here's the tail, here's the piece, you stick these two together. I'm sure it makes sense. I just but now I know. So moving forward, we'll get more of a little tail bit. So I did add in the tail, but this is it's a little goofy. So, you know, that happens sometimes. And if you enjoyed it, then you go back and make another one, which I definitely enjoyed this. I will be making another one for sure. The other thing that I messed up on it was the little like widow's peak. So what I would do, just because of how things seem to align for me, if I were to do it again, what I would do is I would attach the beak and the eyes, and then I would attach the little widow's peak afterwards. Those would be the things that I would do, just so that my widow's peak is like as centered as possible. Because when I was putting in the eyes, because I felted the eyes because I didn't have the right size like safety eyes, so I just felted it, like needle felted it. And when I was putting them on, it looked like it was like centered with the beak and everything like that. And now that I look like it, as you can see, like it's like burp. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to be like, okay, well, this is the way it is, and I'm sure my small human will love it. Which she does not need any more crocheted things, but we'll see. If I can fix the hairline and it doesn't look so goofy, then we'll see what it looks like for our next market. But if I can't, then small human gets another toy. Ha. It is what it is. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit of market prep. If you want me to go into more details, just let us know below, and I can definitely like incorporate that into our next video. There we go. I can say words. So the thing that I wanted to talk about, and the thing that I think is like one of the most important things, is skewing. Especially if you have a lot of different items or a lot of different price points. But also skewing a product makes it a lot easier to figure out what's selling and what's not. So especially if you make a wide variety of things, especially with my amigurumis, it can be a little bit difficult to figure out like what are the best ones that sell. Especially if you don't skew them or if you don't keep track of them somehow. So skewing is an easy way to do that, because you're like, oh, well, this skew sells well. Each time I make it, it sells. And then because we do sell a few different things, like Amber does all the felt shape stuff, and then we also do earrings, and then we do amigurumis. So the way that we skew our stuff is, so for like the shapes, it's like an S and then a number, and then for earrings it's an E and then a number, and then for amigurumis it's an A and a number. And then if we have other things, like we also did like blind boxes this year, which have been selling pretty well. I've been pretty happy. Everybody gets really excited. The blind boxes that we did all had butts. So that's definitely a selling feature. which is awesome. But yeah, so dependent on what it is, like if we decide that it needs to be a new category, then we add in, whatever it's. So for blind boxes, it was BB and then a number. And then we can also, that way too, we use Shopify, and that way too, in Shopify, we can track like what's selling. Like, are our earrings selling? Yes, we're seeing these many SKUs that are selling. And same with our amigurumis, like, oh yes, these are selling, we're good, we're still making X amount of money. And then same with felt shapes and garlands and other things. We can keep track of it that way, which is really nice. And it also makes it easier at checkout, opposed to trying to find that item by the name, especially if you didn't name it, because like we were having that issue with our felt shapes and garlands and stuff like that, because I didn't name it. I didn't know what it was called, even if Amber told me, which she did. She was very good about it. I was definitely not. She was very good about it. So even if she told me like what the item was called or what she had named it or whatever, I would always forget when you're getting like to the checkout thing, because like I don't know about you, but for me, anytime I check somebody out, like not like that, but now I'm gonna go red, but you're doing the checkout process, I don't know what it is, but I have a tendency to just get a little nervous. I don't know why. Like, I worked in retail for like well over like a decade, but anyways, I still have that nervousness. I don't know what it is, but anyways, it's fine. I accept it and move on. Because what else are you gonna do? I sometimes get a little red, it's all good. Anyways, but I find that I get a little nervous or a little flustered or something, and then especially if things aren't like working the way that you want them to, it can get even more flustery. Yeah, you figure that out. Anyways, but so trying to remember, what was this thing called, and even some of the things that I had named, because I name things weird, not inappropriate weird, but I just look at the piece and I'm like, it should be named this, like Kyle the goat or something, weird. Anyways, that's beside the point. With skewing all the products and having everything tagged, when the person asks you, how much is this, you can be like, it's just on the back. Perfect. And then when you go to ring them out, you're just like, I just look for the SKU number, we're good to go, we know what it is, you can verify because you have the price there, you're good to go. Especially if fortunately, knock on metal thing, we haven't messed up any of our SKUs, or at least if we have, we've been able to fix them. But it's just an easy verification that you can be like, yeah, this is this much, good, we're good. And yeah, with skewing, it just makes everything so much faster. So if you're interested in me talking at length about it, let us know in the comments below. And if you don't, I still might make that video anyways. Lastly, the thing that I wanted to talk about was our market that we had. So we had a market over the last weekend on the October 5th. I'm not sure when this video is coming out. So October 5th was our market. It was awesome to see all of the people that we knew show up, and it was really awesome. We had a couple of people that knew us from last year, follow us on Instagram. They were like, we saw you and we knew it, and we're really excited to see us. So that is amazing and makes us smile every time. We had a vendor person who bought some earrings from us last year, and she was like, I saw your setup and I knew it was you. So that made us smile from ear to ear, as you can see. It was so very, very awesome to see, and it was just made me so happy that our setup is distinct and people know us. And I feel like that's one of the important things that gets overlooked a lot of the time is the setup. Your setup is important. It's important to have your brand. And yes, I know that it costs money to invest in it, and it can be hard, especially if you're not making the sales, because dependent on where you go, sometimes you can end up at markets where there's 6 or more other crochet artists or whatever you're making there, and it can be really hard and can be really disheartening as well. And especially if like people are showing up there that are selling their stuff for like considerably less, it can be hard. And like, I honestly, when we first started out, I had a tendency to go and check out a lot of those places and then get really upset and then be like, oh, well, we need to charge less. That's the only way that we're going to make the sales. And what I realized over time, and especially at this last market, is it's best to stay true to you. Like, if you enjoy making weird, like, horror-based kind of creatures or oddity kind of creatures, then, like, yeah, do that. And I mean, if you enjoy making the cutesy things, then go for it. Like, make the cutest little elephant ever. Like, or, like, if you really go towards kids stuff, then, like, do that and do it well. And like, don't just try to discount your stuff because you're like, oh, but I just want it to sell. Because if you do that, then yeah, you might sell the piece, but are you going to be able to support yourself on it? Is the things that you always need to look at. But anyways, I'm going down a different ramble. It was really nice seeing like all the people there that showed up that were like, oh my God, we know you from last year and you showed up again. Yay! So it was super awesome to have all of those things. We don't normally have a lot of people that are like negative towards our stuff. They normally just continue to walk because we just smile at them, because what are you going to do for people who are just whatever? So fortunately we don't get a lot of those people, because, you know, otherwise we'd tell them to just, you know, jog on or whatever, because we're not afraid of that anyways. But we did get a lot of people. So this was it wasn't necessarily a spooky market. It was more so a fall market. But we had a lot of people asking if we had Christmas stuff. It was really interesting to see. Like, our full deck out was like all Halloween stuff, pretty much, or like what most people would consider Halloween stuff. It's just kind of our stuff all year round. But what generally people would consider Halloween stuff, it was really surprising. I mean, not surprising, but surprising to me that people were like, oh, but do you have any Christmas stuff? And we're like, well, yes, we do. It's on our website. You can go check it out. But it was interesting to see and to get that feedback. So for our next market, which is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, it's a 2-day market that we're out in Fort Langley, BC. So if you're in the area, come check it out. We'd love to see you. But we will have some Christmas stuff with us, just because, like, that was the feedback that we were getting, that people are looking for those kinds of things. And with our felt shapes, we do generally add like a string to them, because they seem to sell better that way, opposed to just a shape. It's nice because we can hang them, you can kind of display them a lot easier, which is nice. And I mean, we had a lot of people that really, really loved all of our like Halloween or like spookier felt shapes, and we had so many cool ones. Amber did an awesome job. So yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to see. We definitely feel like sales are down. There's a lot of people that are just really walking around and like making sure that that's the thing that they want. So I feel like that might be an overtone for this market season. I mean, I hope that it picks up and people are spending wildly, but I feel like that's just the kind of economy that we're in now, is that people are like, you know, does this product really speak to me? Yes, it does. Okay, let's do it. Cool. And like, we had a lot of people that, you know, came and squished the thing and they were like, I love it. and then they would put it back, and then they would go for a walk around, and then they would come back and they'd be like, yeah, can't live without it. Which is awesome. It makes us smile so much to see a piece that you create that other people like connect with so much. It's wonderful to see. I like it. It's great. It makes me smile. And yeah, it's one of our fun things with doing in-person markets is just getting to interact with people and seeing what people want, and seeing what people are looking for and all those kinds of things. And then like for us as well, like taking that into account and then being like, okay, well, how can we do this that still speaks to our brand, is like cohesive within what we generally make? Because we make like spooky cute things generally, and like when Christmas comes, because Amber loves Christmas, I love Christmas too, don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. I like a more like generally a creepy Christmas, but I'm also down for like regular Christmas, because like small human, she is absolutely loves Christmas. She was over at Amber's house. We were carving some pumpkins. I'll put a little picture up here of our pumpkins. We were over there and she was going through all of the felt shapes that Amber has, and she was like, I love this one, I love this one, I love this one, I love this one, I love this one. And I was like, oh, I see, I'm going to be getting you a lot of felt shapes for Christmas. I'm not. Don't worry, Spider Dad. I'm not. If you're listening, I'm not. It's okay. Maybe two. Really good to chat with you today. If you want to continue to watch more of my face, check out these videos above, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.